Our first overreaction. The Mets made the right move being sellers.
So they made the decision, at least publicly, the decision came out Thursday evening when they publicly said they are open for sale. And David Robertson, their closer, who's been fantastic for a while now, they traded him away to the Marlins for 2 prospects. So my thought at that point, and still reflecting back on it, becomes why so early? You were still at that time 5 days away from the trade deadline. You were sitting 6.5 games out of a playoff spot. You had a 4-game series coming up against the Washington Nationals. Let's say win 3 out of 4 or 4 of those and see how close you are. And guess what? It's Monday. They still didn't technically need to make that decision. I felt like it was too early. I felt like it was too early. Then you go in 5 days ahead of the deadline, make that trade. A trade to a division rival.
Yeah.
A trade to the Miami Marlins for 2 prospects that aren't going to help you this year. So my thought here is, did they make the right move by selling? I think looking at it now as we get closer to the deadline and they're still over, my line was 5 games.
Yeah.
If you're not within 5 games and they still have all those teams in front of them, I guess I'm okay with it. I just thought they did it too soon. And I don't love the way they did it with David Robertson being the first. And then came Max Scherzer.
Oof, that was the big one.
And then the big one. Max Scherzer on Saturday was traded to the Texas Rangers. Man, it's been quite the few days for the Mets, and everybody was quite surprised there. You know, Max being a Cy Young pitcher, multiple Cy Youngs. This is what Max had to say about the David Robertson trade, by the way. So this was the night David Robertson was traded. He said, "I've got to have a conversation with the front office about everything. That's the most I'm going to say. You have to talk to the brass. You have to understand what they see, what they're going to do. That's the best I can tell you. I told you I wasn't going to comment on this until the owner, Steve, decided to sell. We traded Robertson. Now we need to have a conversation. I haven't had that conversation yet, and I will." That comment came after David Robertson trade, and within close to 24 hours, he's out the door. So what was that conversation
So I'm sure
like?
that conversation is, what's the plan? And he goes, we're sellers. If we get this package together for you, would you accept? Because he had a no trade clause. So he has to say yes to an opportunity that's presented to him. So I'm sure it was an all encompassing, like, what are we doing? What's the plan? Done for the year? All right, let me go try to win somewhere.
Right. So what was that answer that he got that made Max Scherzer say, or you didn't have to publicly say anything, he waived his no trade clause?
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you needed to say.
There's been a lot of comments everywhere about everything. Justin had comments to say. We'll talk when we talk Justin, we can talk about those. But I don't love the Mets choosing to sell as early as they did it. I don't feel like that was the right call. And I feel like the second they did, not necessarily with David Robertson, but the Scherzer one.
You wanted them to hold on till like Tuesday?
Yeah.
Right before the deadline?
Yes. You can get more. When everything's dwindling away and teams are looking to what's out there last second, not even, you can't do it last second, but 12 hours remaining, GMs ain't sleeping the night before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
12 hours before the deadline, imagine a guy like Max Scherzer's name popping up on the trade market. You could probably get more for him at that time when a team like, I don't know, the Baltimore Orioles needs something, or the Houston Astros, who I thought would have been a good fit for Marcus Stroman, but guess what? The Cubs ain't selling anymore.
They went on a win streak.
So Marcus Stroman's off. So imagine a name like Max Scherzer popping up. A team that's ready to win right now would be willing to give up a little more, in my opinion.
Okay.
So did they make the right decision? As of now, I don't really feel super passionate one way or another about them being sellers. I just think it came too soon. Then it becomes, what about the return? So from the Marlins, they get infielder Marco Vargas, who I have heard a lot of good things about. That's the big get there, and a catcher, Ronald Hernandez. But the big get came in the Scherzer return. They did get Luis Angel Acuna, who, side note, great baseball name. The guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. That name, you kidding me? That guy was born to be a Hall of Famer. He's also Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother, and he's a number 44 overall prospect in all of baseball, will immediately slide into the New York Mets #1 prospect. He's close to big league ready. He's hitting .315 in Double-A as a 21-year-old, got 7 homers, 42 stolen bases. Not sure if you've heard, stolen bases. Runs in the Acuna family. Ronald Acuna got to 50 the other day. And Luis Angel Acuna is at 42 in the minor leagues. It also cost a lot to get him. Max Scherzer, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're paying all but $22.5 million of Scherzer's contract, and he did opt into that next year with the Rangers. So, obviously, money. Scherzer gone, but they did get a huge, really good prospect there. And that's the cost of doing business. But what a couple of days for the Mets.